Okay guys, hopefully you're still sticking with me on this one. Next we're going to be doing the bishop, but if you're still watching these videos and not just trying to make the pieces yourself, we're going to do something cool with this one. Instead of starting from scratch, I mean, really the pawn and this are really close. We're not going to worry about this little diagonal cut coming out of the side of it right now. So actually with this one, I'm just going to start from our original pawn scene. So let's click and drag this into our background. Scale it down to size. And saying there's nothing wrong with starting from a previous model that you've made. Perfectly acceptable. So realistically the bishop's going to be a little bit bigger than a pawn, so make it a little bigger. Again, we'll probably rescale everything later. If I go over to the shading tab, right now our material is called pawn. I'll just rename that to bishop. Grab the material, set that transparency. Let's actually just do like 10, oops, not opacity, 10. Didn't mean to do that. Transparent amount, 10. So now what we're going to do is we're going to use this existing geometry to get stuff kind of where we want it. So let's first grab this image and center it a little bit better. There we go. And then we'll take this pawn and we'll just scale it up to where it starts to fit. And then we'll just start manipulating it. So the other thing, just real quick, this, like the distance from here all the way down to here is a little bit deceiving because again the camera was a little bit above this object when I was taking it. And again the lens was curved, so there's a handful of factors here. But I can just grab this, roughly line it up to where this is, maybe extend this a little bit. So let's just grab this little section right here, pull it down, switch to scale, scale it up a little bit, and then move this back. So somewhere around in here. Now this bottom section will make this base a little bit taller as well. So again, just utilizing the scale tool, bringing it down. So again, we're doing pretty good on this one. So this is going to be a little bit different. This is going to be a little bit more rounded. So, oops, we want to turn off our backdrop item. What I want to do is effectively I want to unbevel this. And there's really not an unbevel in Modo to some extent. At least right now we don't know of a way of doing it. So let's just double click both of these. Just do one at a time. Double click, backspace, removes that. Double click, backspace, removes that guy out. Now we can go back to here and kind of look at this. If I want, I can grab this whole piece and just move it out of the way. It seems like this is overall a lot rounder. Just going to grab this, pull it up, and overall, actually, if I look at this guy, this isn't really a perfect square. It's a little bit taller. So let's get the top situated first. We're just going to center this about where it needs to be and then scale it up a little bit. Somewhere around in there is going to be good. And now, realistically, we can just remodel this center section right here. Should work out just fine. So double click my edge again. I deleted that, so let's actually just delete this. This is the old backdrop image of the pawn that was in there. Delete that out. I just want to make sure, yes, I have an empty hole there, I have an empty hole there, so at some point I'm going to want to bridge these together. And I might do it a different way just to show you guys a new tool. So from here I can edge extend, scale this out, edge extend, move this down, edge extend, move it in. And again, I don't know if it's easy to see on the video, but I can see a little faint line of where this is at. So I really don't need to get out of this perspective just yet. Something like this. Let's move this. Oops, I want to move this straight down. We'll worry about the center part later. So let's double click this edge, B to bevel, do that. Do this loop slice technique where we scale this up, bevel it to get that round area. So now this area, it looks like it kind of curves a little bit and then goes back in. So we'll scale this up just a little bit. Scale this, extend it. Extend that in. Now I'm trying to grab just this outside edge so I can bevel it. So again, if you're having a little bit of trouble seeing this, you can go to this 3/4 view, and again, I just made sure I selected just this edge and I beveled it like this. That's really what I was going for, but again, feel free to jump in and out of different views. So now instead of bridging these two together, I'm going to show you a different way of doing this. So if I look at these, let's go to a top view. These are almost the same size. So if I go to a side view, actually let's grab this one and move it up a little bit, just so it's separate. Grab this one, move it down a little bit. So these are pretty close. We'll make sure there's an intentional gap there, something like this. So the new tool that I'll show you how to use is called the merge tool. And how this is going to work is it actually, let's go to vertex and merge tools right here. So it has a threshold that's a distance. So what I can do is double click this edge, left click the merge tool, and this distance by default it's set to 1 millimeter or 0 millimeters. Let's put it at 0 first. So now what it's going to do is it's going to look for two vertices that have a distance apart from each other of 0. So right now there really isn't any, so if I hit apply, nothing's going to happen. If I set it to 1 full meter, hit apply, now any vertice that's 1 meter close to another one is going to merge all into one. So if I hit apply, it's going to take all of them and merge them into one. So realistically, I need to know the distance between this point and this point, because I don't want this point to merge over to this point. So if this distance right here is, let's say, 2 centimeters, I want to make sure that my distance is below 2 centimeters. But realistically, at this point, I don't want to worry about measuring stuff. So I'm going to show you a cool trick with this tool. Left click, set to 1 meter. I want to set it to 0 meters. Hit apply. Tool still active. Nothing's merging. So if something merges, it's going to actually disappear in here, and you're going to see it kind of snap together. So what I'm going to do is I have the merge tool active. Right here it's set to 0. Apply doesn't do anything. I'm going to left click and drag to the right in the 3D viewport. What that's going to do is it's going to slowly increase this distance, and when these thresholds kind of meet, it's going to merge those together. So left click, start dragging to the right. We're at 1.2 millimeters. Oh, right there. So if I drag to the left, it'll lower that distance. Drag to the right, it increases that distance. So right there at 1.3, give or take millimeters, you'll see those snap together, and they're all merged together now. And this would even work with something like this. These two pieces really close together. Merge tool, left click, drag to the right, keep dragging to the right. Eventually they're going to snap, but if I keep dragging to the right more and more and more, that distance is going to keep increasing. And realistically, I don't want these to merge with these. Give me something like that. I just want kind of the vertices that are closest to each other. So your best bet for using this merge tool is to have selected the things you want to merge together, hit merge, start at 0, left click, and start dragging to the right more and more, and eventually they'll merge together. So again, really cool use of that tool. And this guy, let's do the top of this just a little bit different. Because if we look at this, it's not really in the center, it's actually offset a little bit to the right. So let's hide this. So instead of merging a sphere on here, I'm going to do that same 12 by 8 sphere, spacebar to drop the tool, double click to select it, shrink it down, go to my front view, move this up, and again I can move this left and right at this point because again it's going to be a little bit offset. Scale it up, put it right there, So if we wanted to, we already know how to do this. We could come in here, delete the bottom portion of this, delete, we probably wouldn't want to delete this. We could potentially just pretend like that's not there. Grab these edges, and normally if I select two edges and do a loop slice, normally since it's kind of triangles, it won't know what to do, but this one it's all triangles, so it'll usually find a way. But if it doesn't, I could just select every single one of these, hit loop slice, and then just make sure that slice selected is checked. And then I could zoom in on this, grab this little top portion, scale it up, move it over here, and I could merge these guys together. Realistically though, let's just set this back to where it was. I'm just going to have this offset and just floating in 3D space. So again, we have our two different shapes here, and we'll call this good for the bishop. We're not going to worry about this little diagonal slice that gets taken out of it. We'll go over some tools that covers that a little bit later. But for now, we'll call this good, so we can save this out and add it to our collection. I just recommend at this point making a folder called chess pieces and put all your chess pieces right in there.